Greetings. This is General CJG here, coming to you with, well, a expanded universe podcast that was basically dealing with one of the story arcs from the Star Wars Empire comics, In the Shadows of Their Fathers. And joining me here, I got...
This is just part of it, Mia. Good to be here.
Yep. We're basically tackling this story arc due to a certain TV show doing a bootleg version of it. So, yeah. So with that out of the way, so let's begin. So we'll start with our very quick summary of thoughts in this story arc. So you go first, Owen.
It's a sequel, the official sequel to the Battle of Jabiim in the Republic comics, and it has to story with Luke dealing with the quote-unquote legacy Anakin Skywalker has left in the planet of Jabiim. So yeah.
Yep, that's the most basic summary, and in the story is pretty interesting. It's definitely a good one of the more interesting ones from this comic series, and I enjoyed reading it for what it was. So yeah, you the one.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So, yeah. And why was it pretty good? Well, I think now it should be a great time to go into it. So, we're starting with the first issue. So, you want to go first, Owen, or I go first?
I'll do issue 1.
Okay.
The story starts 21 years before the Battle of Jabiim. Not 22 idiots, but that's a different matter. And Anakin is choking Captain Gillum. If that is his name, I forgot.
It is Gillum.
And it goes to the modern time. Luke Skywalker saves a couple of Jabiim soldiers, particularly the Royalists, and then Leia and Luke arrive to the planet, but the natives do not seem to be welcoming Luke, so there's that.
Well, at first they're fine until Leia pretty much made a big mistake.
Yeah, that mistake being revealing that Luke's family name is Skywalker, and everybody is like having a big major red alarm in their heads and seeing like, hey, okay, it must be a coincidence. Are you related to Anakin Skywalker? And yes, he is related to Anakin Skywalker, and they say, yeah, you're the son of Anakin Skywalker, so we should kill you. But, you know, one of them says, like, it's not Anakin. It's just his son. And Luke seems to not understand why the Jabiimi don't like Anakin Skywalker. And that's how issue 29 ends.
Yeah, so, to put it simply, it started well, at least, as in the rebels were definitely having at least having an audience with the Jabiim royalists, and it was going well until literally Leia decided, yeah, here's Luke Skywalker, and it was like, what? The son of Skywalker? Get him! Yeah, that didn't go well.
It sure didn't.
Oh boy, so yeah, that's the first issue. So yeah, what do you think of that, Owen?
Yeah, it seems like we can see that what Anakin has done by... Yeah, we'll have to get deeper in later. What Anakin has done has left a significant mark to Jabiim, and they still hate him even after all those years.
Holy shit. Yep, they do.
If only they knew Anakin was still alive and Darth Vader, but that's a different matter, I guess.
Oh, we'll get into that a bit later in this story arc. So, yeah. But yeah, also Wedge and Javi were in their X-wings in space, pretty much providing any sort of support to Luke and Leia when they needed, and it was going fine. But the moment that it's revealed that Luke is related to Anakin Skywalker, they're pretty much starting to, well, let's just say that Jabiim Force are pretty much demanding them to get the fuck out of there. So yeah, this shit ain't going well at all.
And about some designs, Leia has a really, really long ponytail, so there's that. Never seen her with that design.
Well, it has been 6 months since the Battle of Jabiim, so maybe you should let it grow. Who knows? So yeah.
So I remember that is the woman with the blue stone in her eye is a character from one of the X-Wing comics, and I forgot what her name was.
Yeah, I debuted in X-Wing Rogue Squadron 1.5. Yeah, 1.5. So, but she actually is a character that's kind of recurring in the Empire comics.
Yeah.
So her name is Nira Dantos. She's apparently a female smuggler. So, yep. Let that sink in. But yeah, she is pretty much a prominent character in the Empire comics. So, yeah. And 3 issues of Rebellion. So, yeah. So, there is that. Anything else you want to mention on this issue?
No.
Okay, then we shall get to issue 2. So now it's my turn to narrate. Okay, so issue 2, well, we get another flashback on the events of the Battle of Jabiim from the Clone Wars, but this time from the perspective of Captain Gillen, the Saint Gilmon that, yeah, pretty much was force choked by Anakin, and yeah, basically they're now forced to deal with the Separatists by themselves, and so yeah. Then years later, we go back to Nolan Gilmour talking with his partners, and he's basically like arguing with him about what were you thinking, Skywalker's kid? How could you? Like, they definitely had a heated debate. And while Nolan pretty much wants Jabiim to stop being so isolated from the rest of the galaxy in terms of receiving any help, let's just say that the rest of the people are not really going forward with it because, well, let's just say that bringing Luke Skywalker was not a good idea. And now Nolan's partner wants to pretty much seize Luke Skywalker and Leia to pretty much sell them to the Empire. Nolan heavily disagrees on that. So, but before the argument gets a bit more heated, there's one person that comes in and tells them, Skywalker, they're going to kill him. So yeah, that doesn't go well. Then Wedge and Javi are still getting all sorts of threats of getting out of Jabiim atmosphere, and literally we have freaking TIE fighters going after them. Yeah, that ain't going well. So they have to take all sorts of evasive maneuvers. Meanwhile, Leia and Nira are stuck are pretty much grounded in a room. And forced to being kept on guard with 2 freaking Jabiim rebels, pretty much just making sure they don't get out. So yeah, that stinks. And then there's of course this guy called called Jorin Sol, which is a rebel mathematician. yeah, that stinks. So yeah, Nira and Leia are planning some sort of way to escape. So yeah, and while that goes, Luke is he's getting kicked.
Yeah.
Poor Luke.
He tries to fight back, but doesn't work. So there's that.
It's because it's plenty of them, and he's not a Jedi yet. At least not to the extent that he would be able to defend himself. So yeah, poor Luke is getting beat up. Stinks.
They must really hate Anakin Skywalker. And that's what we can.
Well, they hate him so much that they literally injured Luke to the point in which he has to go to the clinic. Yeah, that stinks. And so yeah, then Nolan is talking with Luke. Luke literally is wondering if literally everything that they've said about Anakin is true, like him killing Jabiim children, which no, that didn't happen. So,
yeah.
It obviously happens much later, but not to Jabiim.
Oh, he did kill children, not that children.
Yeah.
But there's that.
Yeah, so there is that. But no, Anakin was not a monster. That's what Nolan tells him. But it's just that his betrayal caused a lot of problems, and so yeah. And let's just say that it does put into a bit of a conundrum situation for Luke. So yeah, but then apparently the Nationalists are attacking with the Empire helping them. So yep, a big attack happens, and so yep, the Jabiim rebels are pretty much getting ready to defend themselves. and Luke is pretty much going to help them. And so yeah, the attack begins. And meanwhile, Wedge and Javi are still evading the shit out of the TIE fighters. And well, a Star Destroyer shows up with slave ships. Yeah, that ain't going well. And that's where issue 30 ends. So yeah, what do you think of this one, Doan?
I do not know why they tried to portray the nationalists as the bad guys in the Empire comics, because they were clearly portrayed more heroic. Remember Autostratus, like, and his people had like a justifiable reason for why they wanted to fight against the Empire, Republic. And now they're fighting with the Empire. So I don't know what's going on here.
Well, considering the amount of years that happened, let's just say that some have pretty much lost sight of what united Jabiim in the first place, which originally was that Anakin's betrayal united all of them. But over the years, their hatred pretty much started to completely isolate them from the galaxy, and they have, let's say, it became a shit show. Their own hatred for Anakin has led them into losing sight of what they used to be.
I mean, the Jabiim nationalists will not just join the Empire, because they're not better than the Republic. In fact, they're freaking worse. I think the death of Autostratus and the leadership change caused them to lose their way.
It is possible, especially because we later see who's leading the nationalists in this comic. So we'll get the answer soon. So yeah, but yeah. So, and sucks for Luke getting kicked and beat up so much. Like, poor Luke. I mean, I get it that what his father did, but holy shit! Like, he didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, it's like revenge blinds people, and I think Luke learns that there is much more to Anakin, and this is way before episode 5, and he doesn't even know the half of what actually happened, so
yeah,
there's that.
There is that indeed. It definitely is something that Luke has to reflect on ongoing in this story arc. So yeah. Anything else you want to mention about this issue?
No.
Okay, then we'll move on to the next one. So, okay, part 3. Now, do you want to tackle this one or I tackle it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Now, 21 years again before Battle of Jabiim, the Jabiim royalists are trying to plan out how to fight against the droids, and then we go to the present time where rebels and the Jabiim royalists are fighting against the stormtroopers. And even though they're fighting together, the royalists still do not like Luke Skywalker because of what happened all those years ago. And while one of them, called Trick, saves Luke Skywalker, he say he's not doing for Luke. So there's that. And then Leia and Nira escapes. So there's that. And Javi and Wedge are flying into space. Not much going on here. We go back to the main planet, and we see a canyon full of freaking mines.
Oh, yeah.
In the most incompetent and weird way possible, but they all somehow managed to escape those mines despite them being all over the place. Kind of unrealistic, but they do work.
Well, it's actually only Leia and Nira who managed to go through the mines. The other speeder that had Jorin and Somes, they were captured by the Empire.
And then Luke and the Royalists get captured, and they finally meet with the Nationalist leader.
Mm-hmm. So,
and I think he was supposed to be dead because Nolan and his people tried to assassinate him, and it failed.
Yeah, so basically, Dorn Crane, the Nationalist leader, yeah. So I'll get into detail more about what I think about him. So, but anyway, continue.
And then one of them tries to kill Jorin. So there's that. I keep forgetting these people's names. They're so insignificant.
Well, they're insignificant for the rest of the comic series, but for this story arc, they are important. So yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, don't forget that also the one that used to be the partner of Nolan. He betrayed the entire royalists, and yeah, to pretty much to side with the nationalists and give pretty much gives all sorts of slaves and the planet to the Empire, and that's how the issue ended.
Yeah, it's weird because I do not like this new nationalist guy. I think if Alto Stratus was alive, he would kill this guy.
Yeah, but that's what happens when leadership changes. They can pretty much be they could be an either better leader or a worse leader. Depends.
In this case, worse.
Yeah.
And completely going against what they were supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
Yeah. He's even the imperial governor of Jabiim, actually. So there's that. Anything else you want to mention on this issue?
No.
Okay, then we go to the next issue. So I'll tackle this one. Okay, so again, back to the flashback of the Clone Wars. We see the royalists that apparently Gilman was killed by the same freaking guy, Thorn Graham, who's currently the Jabiim nationalist leader. He's the one that killed Gilman back then, and so. And basically, now Nolan wants to pretty much kill him because, of course, he killed his father. So, yep. So, and Thorn is pretty much just going to take both Nolan and Luke captive. So yeah. And apparently Thorn pretty much mocks Anakin Skywalker in the sense that basically he's saying that Anakin Skywalker set Nolan his loyalist on the downward spiral, and the prince here has completed that cycle. Your father will be proud. That definitely angers Luke and says, "But my father was a hero." And the other one is like, "Oh, I agree. Behind closed doors, we all regard Anakin as a champion of the nationalist cause. If he chose to stay, if he did not relent to his masters, if he decided that Jabiim was worth fighting for, our situation would be drastically different. I have no doubt of that." But he didn't. He realized what we already knew, what you'll learn if you stay long enough. Jabiim is a lost cause. As soon as you accept this fact... Oh, and then he gets interrupted, and apparently... Lord Vader himself is going to Jabiim in order to grab Luke Skywalker. Oh boy. So yeah. Meanwhile, Leia and Nira are still escaping in the speeder bike. They're pretty much going to help R2 and 3PO because they're literally getting blasted by an AT-ST and some stormtroopers. So yeah, they managed to get inside their transport and activate the laser cannons to destroy the AT-ST and the stormtroopers. They managed to do it, and yeah. And then the Star Destroyer of Darth Vader arrives, and this is where Darth Vader is like, ugh, this planet. This is one of the places I never wanted to see in person again. And Vader he doesn't like it, but he's there for Luke Skywalker, so yeah. And Vader pretty much has Tal Hess, the one that betrayed the royalists, to the Empire, and he pretty much is like, "Here, I got you here, this prisoner." And Vader's like, "I want Skywalker." And I was like, "This one can be of some use. He knows about the Alliance fleet. He knows about stuff." And then he tells him, "Jabiim means little to the Empire now. We've delivered the rebels to you. Now it's time for you to give our planet back to us." So yeah, that ain't going well. Meanwhile, Leia rescues R2 and 3PO, while apparently Wedge and Javi are trying to destroy some of the TIE fighters. So yeah, they're basically now planning to just get out of the planet at this point because, yeah, there's nothing they can do with just 2 X-Wings, a transport, and just 4 rebels. Yeah, there's nothing they can do compared to an entire armada of the Empire. So, yep. And Vader, he gets confirmation that, yeah, Skywalker is in custody, and they're going to pretty much bring into the destroyer. And Vader, because of how much he has scars Jabiim, he wants to pretty much destroy the shit out of Jabiim, to scorch the surface until nothing is left alive. And Vader's like, "You're right, Jabiim is of little importance to the Empire now, but he has great value to the Alliance." So he pretty much wants to destroy Jabiim. So yeah, I wonder why. And that's where the issue ends. So yeah, what do you think, Doan?
It seems like Vader is acting emotionally rather than thinking, because he does remember how much pain he feels through the planet, and remembers how the last time he was in Jabiim. So the artworks also shows like Vader with a weird blurry line covering his eyes and
Oh, that's just
his
that.
features to show how sad he is or something.
I think it could be just a mistake in the coloring or in the artwork, or it could just be a silhouette type thing. No idea, but obviously it's just an art thing, so it's not really a big problem. But yeah, so indeed, Vader's just all emotional because yeah, Jabiim is one of those few places that pretty much bring all sorts of scars to him. The other place, of course, being Tatooine. So.
And Vader's like doing the same thing he did to Lando, by saying, "Perhaps you'd like to join them." Reminds me of perhaps you think you're treated unfairly, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vader's sense of humor is a really interesting one.
A very dark one. So yeah. The situation does not look good whatsoever for the rebels. They're forced to leave the planet, so it's gonna get interesting how the last issue is tackled.
Yeah, which reminds me, will Luke actually leave the planet and abandon the royalists like his father did, or will he do something different? Which seems like something the comic it seems to show. Will, the Skywalker name still be hated after all these years? Or will Luke do something better to change that perception?
Yeah, indeed. You want to get to the last issue to find out?
Sure.
Okay, last issue. So, Doan, take it away.
Another 21 years before the Battle of Yavin. So, yeah, we get it. You're a sequel to the Battle of Jabiim and you want to make a profit out of it, but stop. And we go back to the present time. Vader is looking at the planet, deeply thinking about something, and then they're in the Star Destroyers, they're shoving in a bunch of slaves.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's that. And then the current nationalist commander keeps saying that Luke came here to finish what Anakin Skywalker started. Yeah, so there's that. And they still mention the only reason why the Republic came to fight for the Jabiim royalists was because of the ore, which is after that didn't really become useful. They decided to abandon the planet. And then Luke says his father wasn't perfect, but he was a good man and an honorable Jedi. And I don't know about that, Luke. Maybe, yeah. So, he was at certain times honorable and a good man, but the current... yeah, so there's... That's really funny. And then huge battle goes on.
You could say it's the second Battle of Jabiim.
And Vader says not to let the rebels escape. And then we see Luke, after escaping the planet, wonders why Obi-Wan has never mentioned this.
Why Obi-Wan never mentioned the Battle of Jabiim to Luke, since Obi-Wan was in this battle too.
Yeah. And yeah. Vader is still having conflicted thoughts. And the comic ends with this. No, it doesn't end. Luke's part of the comic ends by saying, "What else did Ben not tell me?" By showing Darth Vader. It seems like Obi-Wan is leaving crucial information for Luke to discover the future.
Well, yeah, for obvious reasons. If he knew much earlier, the emotional weight and burden that Luke will carry would have been far worse. It was still pretty bad in Empire, but yeah.
And then Jordan is took by stormtroopers and Vader to be interrogated, and Has says he will one day make it right. And the comic ends. I wonder if this part is actually continued, but it's finished for now.
It is continuing in the next Empire issues and Rebellion. So the story arc of this issue does continue, but the Battle of Jabiim itself, it's over here. So yeah, so this is the last issue. So that one, what do you think?
I mean, I guess Luke did something right to rectify his father's mistakes.
Mm.
But then again, we don't actually see the, perception of the masses, so maybe they will still blame Luke Skywalker for bringing the Empire down to them. So who knows? Not really much of a resolution to there.
I guess there is that, but unfortunately, well, it seems that Jabiim is always destined to be a lost cause planet of sorts, to the point in which, yeah, in both the Clone Wars and in the Galactic Civil War era, the planet was pretty much always left to the enemy.
And if you actually read the Battle of Jabiim, they also mentioned that in the old days, they were raided by Trandoshan slavers, and there were plagues, and even at that time, Jabiim was abandoned by the Republic, so it seems like this planet cannot do anything right, it seems.
Yeah, unfortunately it can't, so yeah, it definitely it stinks, but yeah. One thing I gotta mention about this this comic. So the art style from the first 4 issues is pretty. I think it is kind of good. Obviously, it's not the same level of the art style as the original Battle of Jabiim from the Clone Wars Media Project, but it's pretty good. So the first 4 issues is good. The 5th issue, they changed artists, and the art style looks noticeably different. And I think it doesn't look as good as in the first 4 issues. So it's fine, but it's not as good as the first 4. So yeah, I don't know if you noticed that, the one that the art style of the last issue is very different.
The part where there's Luke talking and flashback of Alpha 17 and Obi-Wan, the eyes look weird.
Yeah, it's the art style. It's not as good as the first 4 issues, and I don't understand why Dark Horse, like, this is what, the second, third time that they switch artists at the last issue.
Yeah, that's the issue. Do not change your artist during the story arc. At least change it after the arc finishes. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is up with this. So, it's probably the biggest negative of the story arc, that the art style drastically changes in the last issue. So, yeah. And Nolan looks pretty different, if you notice, compared to the other 4. Like, holy shit. Almost like a different person. Which surprises me. So yeah, the art style of the last issue definitely is a problem. So yeah, it does stink. So there is that, and this Battle of Jabiim definitely is one that definitely left an impact in Luke Skywalker. And while he basically says that what happened here in Jabiim basically made him love his father more, because he basically wanted to make his dad proud and make him see what he will become. See that he escaped Tatooine, he's following his footsteps. But the ironic part is...
his father is going there to destroy the hell out of it, so... yeah,
yeah, so... I'm definitely curious if post-Empire Strikes Back, Luke was like, oh shit, Vader was there on Jabiim. He was blasting the shit out of everything. Was he really proud of me at that time?
I don't think so.
So, yeah. Though Vader did end up being proud of Luke at the very, very end, when he actually redeemed his father. But yeah. Oh boy. Such things indeed. So yeah, this Battle of Jabiim definitely is character driven for both Luke and definitely Darth Vader. So it is definitely interesting. Certainly more so than the bootleg version we got short while ago from a TV show, which literally just put Jabiim there for the sake of EU nostalgia baiting. Literally just that. It's not even doing anything significant with it. So it's just there as a throwaway reference, which...
that was disappointing.
They should have just literally called it any other planet, seriously. Nothing would have been lost. But no, they decided to call it Jabiim. So yeah, and instead of actually focusing on the actual battles of Jabiim, like this one and the one of the multimedia project, no, instead it's gonna be the Kenobi one. So that stinks, and that's why we're pretty much making this video to bring awareness to the real battles of Jabiim. So
Yeah.
indeed. Anything else you want to mention, though, on these 5 issues?
No.
Okay.
Oh, there's Obi-Wan and Alpha 17 there, the flashback.
Well,
So
yeah,
there's that.
of course, indeed. So there is that. Anyway, so now we should get into the EU connections that this story arc has, and right off the bat, the most obvious one out of the way. There's no way around it. The Battle of
Jabiim.
Yep, it's pretty damn evident that it's tied to the Republic comics. So that's the most important one. So, yep, but there's definitely others. So, Doan, what do you got?
The character Nero Dentos is first appeared in X-Wing Rogue Squadron, an issue and a half, not a half issue. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, they did use stupid 1/2 type of issue naming in the 1990s for some reason.
Huh. That's something. So, yeah. Also, of course, Nira, Dantos, and Stardust are also debuted in X-Wing Rogue Squadron 1.5. So,
Yep.
there's that too. This story arc also gets mentioned several times in some of the rebellion issues, particular issue 0. So, yep, that's definitely one of them. So yeah,
I mean, this is clearly trying to cash in the Battle of Jabiim, right?
Well, this story arc did earn its right in existing, so it definitely feels more like actually fleshing out the story. And so, I mean, certainly it's interesting seeing how what if Luke Skywalker went to Jabiim, you know, the place that was literally abandoned and betrayed by his father. So, and we see it here. So yeah, it pretty much has a motive. Way more so than a certain other Battle of Jabiim. So yeah.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, indeed. So, yep. Then there's also the HABWB A5 Juggernaut that shows up in the first issue of this story arc, which actually was first mentioned in the Imperial source book, and also shows up in the X-Wing Rogue Squadron book and several others. It's basically that big Juggernaut vehicle that looks very similar to the one used in the Battle of Kashyyyk from the Clone Wars. So yeah, it's a very similar type. So indeed. So yep.
Not much connections here.
No, there's not. No, there ain't that many connections. Well, actually, there is one. One of the Star Destroyers that shows up in here, which I believe is probably Vader's command ship. Yeah, that one actually it actually appears not only Rebellion's Hero, of course, but it also shows up in Allegiance. Yeah, the Allegiance book.
And that's much later release, isn't it? Like 2007 or something.
Yeah, but don't forget this story arc was released in 2005. So.
Yeah.
So it makes pretty much sense. So yeah, that Star Destroyer isn't it here, and the Jabiim loyalists and nationalists, they were pretty much from the Battle of Jabiim. So there's that all. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be that many EU connections here. The obvious main one is the Battle of Jabiim itself. There are a few, but there doesn't seem to be that many compared to what we usually get.
Indeed.
Not much here. So yeah, what do you got? Anything else, though, one?
Another thing, the correct date, well, almost correct, was 21.5, but we can excuse them for saying 21 years before Battle of Jabiim, right?
Yeah, we can, because it's pretty much... we're right now in like 0 BBY, 0.5 BBY, somewhere there. So, and it's 21 years before, so yeah, we can pretty much excuse it. It's
since this is the pre-TCW era, it still has the right date instead of 22 BBY. So thanks, Dave Filoni.
Yep. So yeah, thank God for that. So, yep, it still has the correct date, just as the multimedia project has it. So, that much is there. So yeah. Anything else to mention, Dowan?
Nope.
Okay, then now we go to the conclusion. So, Dowan, you go first.
It was a great story reading the sequel to Battle of Jabiim. Maybe one day we'll tackle the main thing.
That is for later.
Yeah. But for now, this will suffice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, indeed. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, so in my end, well, this story arc was pretty good. Pretty interesting scenarios. Definitely enjoyed seeing how Luke Skywalker had to deal with the sins of his father. So, yep, and definitely expands on, well, besides the EU continuity, also story possibilities. So it does plenty of stuff great, and yeah, it's good to see how Jabiim changed over the years. So yeah, it's a great story. Definitely worth reading. No, you don't need to read all of the Empire issues. The story stands up on its own. The only thing you might need to read first is the Battle of Jabiim from the Multimedia Project. That's the only thing you would need to read this. But other than that, you could pretty much read this no problem. So yep, definitely give it a shot, and certainly read this more than watching the bootleg Battle of Jabiim from Kenobi. So
Right.
yeah, so this is the real Battle of Jabiim here. And with that said, well, we pretty much finished this podcast, and next podcast we finally deal with the conclusion of the Kenobi TV show, so we can finally pretty much analyze that and finally see how it fared. Spoiler alert, it's already a failure, so yeah. But yeah, so there is that, and we'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars video. Bye bye!
Bye!